Hello and good evening to the Balls Out podcast. It looks a little bit different tonight. It is me on my own. This is my first ever one, so let's see how it goes. What could go wrong? But I'm here to talk about the transfers. Let's be fair. Some might say it's been a good window. Some might say it's a bad. I think it's been a bit of a nightmare. But we can only hope this is what Amorim wanted. So let's get into it. First off, I wanted to just sort of check through the obvious, simple deals we got done very early on with Diego Leon. Obviously, he's come in, young talent, hasn't really been given a chance yet in the first team. But, I think over the next 2 to 3 months, we might see some appearances. Obviously, it's not going to be in the Carabao Cup. I was surprised he didn't play against Grimsby. I don't know what you guys thought, but I thought he would have been there on the left, but he decided to go with Dallo. But obviously, he's coming as a replacement, really, for Malacia. None of us really know what's still going on with him, what happened, what didn't happen, apart from the knee surgery that apparently went wrong. He's obviously still a United first team player on the books. Unless, as I've done this, I've not noticed his contract's been cancelled. As of 7 o'clock, when the window's shut. I know they were looking for at least a loan move, maybe back to Holland, like he had last year, but obviously it didn't materialise. And let's be honest, he's been very unlucky. So Diego Leon not really got big shoes to fill. He just got to dismantle taking Dorgu off the left. And I think he looks like a bright future. But that's the easy transfer we had to build the squad. Not necessarily what Amorim would have wanted. First player in being a young South American. But at the same time, left-hand side, we've had a lot of outgoings in that position. So let's start with the first one in Rashford. We wish him all the best on loan at Barcelona. It's not been easy for him. I don't know if anyone saw last night's game, but he had quite a few boos near the end due to a counter-attack that went wrong and potentially cost him a win. But, if he finds his feet out there, we all know what kind of player Rashford could be. We don't know what's happened at Man United. Let's be honest. I don't know what people think in the chat. But, this is an unbelievably talented player. We've seen the tricks. We saw the hard running, the pace, everything 4 or 5 years ago. But then it just seemed like he gave up. The guy's been through a lot of bad things, family bereavements, breakups, you name it. He pretty much went through it. And he likes to write off cars as well with dodgy driving. So let's wish him all the best at Barcelona. It's a very, very hard place to go. He is the first Englishman to go there, I think, since Gary Lineker, which is a big surprise. I think there's only been about 7 English players. If you can name them all, I'll be very impressed. Or at least British players, because I'll give you a clue. Mark Hughes was one. But this is a talented player. And if he comes back, okay, we don't expect him to return and play for Man United. But what we do need is for him to demand a good transfer fee. And the whole reason he's there on loan is because no one will buy him. He didn't really set the world alight at Villa. He got a couple of goals. But then, unfortunately, got injured against... I can't remember who it was against, but it seemed like it was directly straight after the Champions League. When they got knocked out, Rashford seemed to disappear. It was like he had nothing left to play for to us fans. But coincidences do happen sometimes. Another player who wanted to play on that left, that we have finally got rid of. I've seen plenty of headlines saying United get rid of their worst ever transfer in Jadon Sancho. It's another loan. So it seems we're going to have to see out his contract and let him go on a free. I don't know what you guys think. Like I say, let me know in the chat. And if you're not watching live and you're watching it back, please put it in the comments and I'll reply to most of the comments at the end of the show. But we're going to, everyone's fair. We're going to send him there on loan, same as we did Rashford. We're going to cover his wages, well, part of his wages. They're going to pay whatever they think he's worth, and we cover the rest. I don't know. He didn't do anything at Chelsea. Let's be honest. We don't really expect him to do anything now. Again, a highly rated young player who seems to have lost his way in football. I know there's a lot of YouTubers, there's a lot of ex-footballers out there who rate Sancho's ability very high. But you'll hear me say on here a lot that, it's not about how good you are. If talent doesn't work hard, we all know how the saying goes. So, yes, Sancho, loan, Aston Villa. The irony there that Rashford went there, Garnacho decided to put on a shirt with Rashford's name on it, and now Sancho's gone there, and they wanted Garnacho. So it seems like Villa just want anyone who can play on the left from Manchester United to sign. But that's the loanees, and let's be fair, we could have done with the money. I think there was an easy 40, 60, 80 million probably available that we haven't managed to get in. I don't know what people think, whether that is smart business to at least got them out on loan, covering wages and reducing that, knowing that these players were unwanted by the club, which in my opinion, I don't know about everyone else, but would be, if I was a club owner, I would be asking questions. If I was a director of football, I'd be like, why don't they want him? What, is there truth in the rumours about the drinking, about the turning up late, about the not really wanting to adapt and wanting to be the bigger picture, the player that everything revolves around. So, yeah, like I say, that's the loan deal's really done. So let's move on to, I think, an unfairly treated transfer in Anthony. I was just looking at this. Anthony is Anthony Manchester United on one hand, Anthony Real Betis world beater on the other. I sort of wish him all the best. Up until probably 2-3 days ago, I thought, yeah, this is great. He's wanted by a club. We want to get rid of him. We will strike a deal. Now, the downside to this deal, I found out that he had already bought a house out there. There were other teams in for this player, and he was just turning them away. Now, I can understand wanting to move somewhere where you seem to be adored. You've had a loan spell there. They were singing your name and they want you back. But there's a saying, isn't there? Once bitten, twice shy. And I hope Man United learned their lesson here. Anthony went on strike to come to Manchester United. He then technically, without going on strike, has done the same thing to go to Real Betis. By buying a house, by buying and putting everything together to be settled with his family out there, with no offer on the table. United, bid comes in, United say, no, we're not doing this shared player. Bid comes in, no, we're not doing a loan to buy over 2 years. There were so many offers, but it was only ever one club for him. There was rumours that Ten Hag wanted him at Bayer Leverkusen. He won't be wanting him anymore after he got sacked this morning, after only 2 games, which I think everyone has something to say about Ten Hag, and maybe I'll come back to that at the end. But when you've sold all but 2 players of an unbeaten side, I'm not sure what a manager's meant to do. But yes, Anthony, Real Betis. It's a permanent move. We are led to believe by our favourite online people that we've got 25 million coming our way with a 50% sell on. Now, that 50%, I believe, will come this year if he has another season. I believe a team will be straight in for him. Because in theory, if you think about it, it's 1.5 seasons at Betis. And if he has another stormer of a season on the right, cutting in, scoring those goals he was scoring, I believe he even scored one with his right foot on the volley, and he could barely stand on his right foot in Old Trafford. So, yeah, Anthony. But we have already replaced him. And I would love to move on to that. But first, bath time. Good to see you in the chat, my friend. This is obviously my first show, so if I don't jump straight on your questions, I'll be my first time on my own. I do apologise. I will be jumping in and out of the chat as and when I can. So, yeah, Anthony's replacement, Cunha. Now, that was a deal. I'm pretty sure at the end of last season, there wasn't a United fan didn't know that was coming. That was almost the worst kept secret ever in the Premier League. Seeing the manager with his arm around him when he walking off of Old Trafford, walking down the tunnel, having a chat. Back when I was younger, that was called tapping up. But these days, it just seems to be a done thing. But what a signing he's been. Sad news. It's been confirmed today he has pulled his hamstring and hasn't gone on international duty. Now, obviously, there's pros and cons there. Pulled hamstring con. Not having to travel all the way to Brazil to be assessed. Massive pro, because we've had that before where people have been assessed in South America. I believe it was Martinez had to travel all the way out to Argentina just not to be played, and that swelling on the plane is not a good thing. But guys, what do you think? How much of a markup is Anthony for Cunha? For me, it's like, I don't know. You cheap bread, and then you go and get the top of the range cut, freshly made loaf. It's just you can't really compare. He seems to be linking up with everyone. Everything seems to be going perfectly. But like we say, we are Man United. Let's be honest. Whenever something seems good, we know an injury's around the corner, and let's hope and touch wood. He has a fast recovery over these 2 weeks, and it's just a minor twinge. But he has been complaining about pain, so therefore, I believe there's an MRI either today or tomorrow. I don't think it was done yesterday, but of course we have our own MRI scanner now in the training ground. So hopefully that won't be too bad. But he looks. I was doubtful about him. I was worried about his aggression. No real signs of that yet. Apart from getting on the ball and no fear. And, there's not a United fan out there who wants, or any player, when they step onto the pitch, to fear it. We want them to go out there, no fear, turn, face your player up, run at them, try and score a belter. And he's been doing that. Now that moves me on to maybe the most controversial. With Cunha, again, came in Burmo, and he has replaced someone, and we'll come back to who he's replaced really in a second. But Burmo, I'm sort of on the fence with this. I think he's an absolute phenomenal player, and I'm on the fence to how good a signing he's going to be for Manchester United. I'm going to have to explain myself here, I believe. He was an amazing right winger. He was a great second striker. And right now, I feel like he's getting caught in the position. So I feel he has a lot to learn in this right-sided number 10. Again, he is an absolute workhorse. You know, if we were asked for any one trait in all of our signings, it was hard work, because we know that we have a team that Ragnick, Ten Hag, Amarin's alluded to it, name any other manager, that we just don't seem to want to run. We don't seem to want to work hard. We play very entitled football. We are Manchester United. You know, you do what we say. And the fact is, no one does that anymore. Everyone comes to play Man United and comes to beat us rather than being scared of us. So he has a great trait to come in. Obviously, he's the first one of all our players to get on the score sheet. 2 goals from open play, one against Grimsby, and then obviously again this weekend just gone, he scores. But let me know what people think. How are you going to fit Mbeumo into your team? You know, if once Sesko's fit, we're going to have Cunha, Sesko, and Mbeumo up front. Mount's playing out of his skin. And, you know, a lot of people are saying Ahmad not on the right. So there's going to have to be a lot of rotation in these. And do we see... I don't know. I can see Cunha playing different positions in that front three. But can we see Mbeumo doing it? So let me know what you think. And what's this for? All right, so... let's have a look. Bath time. What are you saying here? Has exceptional Mbeumo. I love how he can take the ball on pressure. Yes, absolutely. His first touch is absolutely unreal. Rasmus Højlund last season was, let's be fair, a trampoline. He was playing like a little kid who was scared to receive the ball or never knew it was coming. And Mbeumo is getting a lot of ball played very fast into his feet, and it seems to stick. Him and I would also say Ahmad are very good at one-touch tight turns. You know, feel the player behind them and just spin off them and take the ball with them. Whereas some of our players in the past have fallen over the ball doing that, or they slow it right down and sort of almost push their way past. So, yeah. And that's what I mean. And Mbeumo brings a lot, but he's just going to have to be a little bit more flexible, I think, in this system to what position he likes and what he actually suits us. If we start running as having a central striker and Mbeumo and Cunha run past him, happy days, because I think that's where he's going to get a lot of his goals, and that seemed to start happening on Saturday. He had a couple of early on shots where he sort of spun in behind on the diagonal and got the shot off, but unfortunately we weren't getting people into the box to get the rebounds if the keeper parried it. But obviously, I said he's coming to replace a player. And let's be fair, this player has gone down in our estimation big time. He'd probably already dropped quite low, but then his comments about Manchester United over the last 48 hours have been horrendous, in my opinion. Garnacho. Pure profit. Plenty of ups. You know, we sold someone. It wasn't fitting into our system. Wasn't really understanding what he wanted to do. Second most shots taken by a United player last season behind Bruno, with a very, very low, I think it was single-digit percentage returning goals. And I'm worried. I think he's going to do what we were worried Sancho might have done at Chelsea, but I think Garnacho gets played, and I think he can actually work well with people like João Pedro, with, you know, Palmer, Neto on the other side. Obviously, they got a lot of games. He's gone to a Champions League playing side. So this is a big problem. Big up, Danny B. Nice to see you. This Garnacho transfer, it's 40 million in our pockets, pure profit. Great. He's driven his own price down with multiple things since the final, shall we say. I was going to say over the summer, but to be fair, the comments started after being dropped at the final with he should have been playing. But we know he's talented, and I'm happy that we got someone like Mbeumo in and him as a replacement, because they're both, I would say, equally talented, but Mbeumo obviously a better head on his shoulders and doesn't come with the entourage like Garnacho. I'm not going to go into the photos that came out. I'm not going to go into the interview that he's done because I know how media works. I'm old enough and ugly enough to know that people basically are given a script to what to say. And if you're naive enough, you say it. And you don't have the balls, should I say, to stand up and say, no, I'm not saying that. I'm not disrespecting it. Putting photos out in their clips saying he used to wear a Chelsea training kit now. Never seen that before in my life. So, Forest just signed a guy I never heard of for 35 million. Danny B, this is exactly the point I'm trying to say. Like, Garnacho drove his price down. Elanga's gone for, was it 50, 55? I don't even think with add-ons. And that's he went for peanuts from us to Forest, and Forest have made good profit on him. Garnacho should have been going there, but around that sort of price. But as I said at the beginning of the show, sometimes it's about how you act. Sometimes the director of football say, I can get him for you, but I'm not willing to pay him this much money. I'm not willing to pay the club the money they're asking for in case this goes wrong. We need to, like you would in a shop. If you buy something when it's on offer, but if sometimes you look at it and go, why is that so cheap? Turn it over, sell by date, right? It's pretty much the same thing in football. From a business point of view, Garnacho is dodgy business. They're just not sure about him. But there was obviously one other major in and out at Manchester United, which I love the in, and I'm a little bit sad about the out. So I'll start there with the Rasmus transfer. Now, I am not massively happy about Rasmus. What feels like being forced out the club. I think, as you're all aware, I used to play up front. At 14, I was playing up front with like a 30-year-old striker. And I had arguments. I wanted to play, but I never expected to start. But what I did do, begrudgingly, was learn from that striker. It may have taken me more years than I care to admit to work out that I do not need to put my laces through the ball and I can just side foot the ball past the goalkeeper when one-on-one instead of actually trying to smash it past him. But yeah, I felt this is Rasmus and this is what he needed. He had no one to learn from. We brought in Ruud. We stupidly gave him the manager's job. And if we had never done that, would we still have Ruud van Nistelrooy as a striker's coach? As far as I'm aware, we don't currently have one at the club. It's being done by the coaching team. But obviously we had Benny McCarthy before we had Ruud. And I think this is something we're losing out on. Rasmus clearly has talent. Because, I'm sorry, how dangerous are Napoli? And they've come in for him. Now, I know we all seem to be living in dreamland and not believing that Scott McTominay has turned into an absolute well-beater and he's like the Manchester Pirlo out there. But it can't just be coincidence that, the champions of Italy have come in for him. AC Milan wanted him. There was a few other, I think Atalanta were looking to try and get him back. But we just dropped him out of thin air. He scored. He was playing well in pre-season. First 2 games in America. I don't really class the Leeds game as pre-season. That was just literally a training match because it was that bad. And then we dropped him, and then we struggled to score goals since he came out of the team. That's facts. But we wish him all the best. There's an obligation to buy, but I believe it's a double obligation, 44 million, something like that. I don't know if that's euros or pounds for Rasmus. We can cancel it. So if he scores a shit ton of goals and United think, well, he's grown up, he's learnt something, we can bring him back to the club. But if he still has a bad way, I think that's quite a good sell-on clause. We bought him for 70 over 3 years. The depreciation would be more than 40. So we've done a okay business. I just wish we had more mature strikers for him to learn on. If he had come to United when we had Cavani and people like that, I think we'd have one hell of a player. But we've replaced him with Benjamin Sesko. Now, Benjamin Sesko is... how can I put this? For me, he's not a striker. Benjamin Sesko is a left-sided number 10. He had an out-and-out striker playing in front of him, and he would play behind. He's more of a chance creator, so I'm hoping that link-up play will be good. But we were screaming for an out-and-out goal scorer. And have we managed to get that? Well, only time will tell. Because right now, someone who trained with his club through pre-season, he's come into the Premier League. Now, we all say the Premier League's a fast league. We all say you have to be the fittest of fittest players to play in the Premier League. It's non-stop, 90 minutes, end-to-end stuff. Unless you're playing for Man United and we can't run for that long. But any other team in the Premier League, it's just constant running. We're led to believe that the reason he took the 10th penalty at Grimsby was he had cramp, and that's why he didn't start the match, and Xerxes came on instead of him when Mount and Cunha went off. But it's a big but. If that was pre-season, he would have already been playing a lot more minutes. So that says to me, have we bought maybe an injured player? Has he got a slight problem that is being assessed that maybe we didn't pick up in the medical? Was it a rushed medical? Because really, this player should be fit enough to play at least 45 minutes. Any professional footballer can play 45 minutes unless they're coming back from, say, an ACL or something like that. But what is he, 6'5", 6'6", 6'7"? He seems to grow every time someone talks about him. But from what we've seen of him so far, I fear he's going to become the next Rasmus Højlund. He's going to become the next Cristiano Ronaldo. Probably shouldn't put him in the bracket because of his past, but you'll get my point. These guys were starved of chances. Sesko's he had like 6 touches or something on Sunday, I believe. It was less than 10 come the end of the game. And most of them were outside the box. Yes, he had one or two. He had a header, I remember. He tried direct back. Problem with tall players and headers, they jump above the crossbar. So it makes it really, really hard to score when you jump that high from close. Because you've got to get up over the ball and direct it back down from above the crossbar. And bear in mind, the crossbar is 8 foot tall, and he's 6. He's only 1 foot off of that. I'm pretty sure everyone in the chat, watching this video can jump more than 1 foot in the air. What are we thinking about Sesko? Obviously, jury's, I'm guessing, is going to be out. Were we happy with the signing? Were we concerned that he wasn't the kind of striker we were looking for? Most people wanted a Harry Kane. Well, let's be honest. Most people wanted Gyökeres. And let's be fair, he spat in Amorim's face the way I see it. Like that deal and what was said. Obviously, Amorim didn't know the player the way we thought he did. But what are we thinking? Is he the future number 9? Is he a stopgap? Are we happy? I think he's got pace. I know he's got ability. He's probably got some of the best hold-up play that we haven't had. So, yeah, let's just see what people are saying and what we got in the chat. I think Sesko was mainly brought on to defend long throws, as Casemiro was. Yeah, bedtime, I agree. I think we saw it a lot last year that Rasmus took that front post option on corners and things like that as a defender. A 6'7" player on the front post is literally just like expanding the post. The downside is it makes it very hard for a goalkeeper to see past him. It means he's got to be further out. And right now, we're playing with two goalkeepers who just stand on their goal line, so that's probably why they can't see the ball. Danny B, never wanted him, I hope, and I'm wrong though. Yeah, I'm pretty much feel the same here. He wasn't he wasn't on my list. Like I say, I don't class him as a striker. I class him as a 10. We bought 2 10s. We have Mason Mount. We have Ahmad. We have Bruno Fernandes. Seriously, if Maradona was back, we'd probably sign him because he's a 10. Do you know what I mean? It just felt like that we've gone out and signed a lot of players in the 10 position now. And yet we're happy to let people go. Obi's. I've spoken a lot about Obi, and I've had a bit more information about it now. They've seen his development in the 21s as priority in the early part of the season because our 21s will be playing in the cup matches against League Two, National League teams. It changes name every year. I think it was Papa John's at one point, whatever that trophy is, but all the 21s and 23s playing it from the Premier League. He's scoring in that, but remember, he's only 17. So 17 and playing 4 years above his age group is pretty amazing. But he's probably looking at Max Dowman, who is now obviously starting for Arsenal, and he might get a bit stroppy about it. So we'll have to see how that's managed. Xerxes came on. I've actually thought he was going to get dragged off at half time. So, we've got some strikers now, and we're going to have to work with them. The window's shut. With the 2 10s we've bought already, 100%. Yeah. Felt Cunha, Xerxes, Rasmus would have covered the... Yeah. Do you know the one thing about Rasmus and Cunha, and I will say Mbermo, is their pace. But when you've got someone like Mbermo who's rapid, and Cunha likes to come from deep, and I think he's quite fast, but Mountain's been playing up front, who clearly isn't fast, and nor is anyone else behind that. When you play a fast player into the corner flag, you're literally playing them there for possession, maybe to get a corner, get a throw in, or just start again, because the most annoying goal in football is what I refer to as the FIFA goal, the sweaty goal, whatever way you want to do it, where you get 2 players through, you pass it across, tap it past the goalkeeper. Rasmus gave us that. He's one of the fastest players in the Premier League. Him and Rashford sort of did that when they first came. They were linking up well with their pace. And that's something I think we need more of, not less of. And right now, I don't know if Sesko's got that pace. Xerxes certainly doesn't. He sort of glides around the pitch like a ghost, like he's not touching the floor. So we'll have to wait and see. Bath time, what have we got here? Like getting a new keeper. Yeah, I'll come on to Le Mans in a minute. Obviously, that is going to be a big thing for most people. So, yeah, Sesko, Rasmus, I think it's like for like right now. One of the big things for me is we can't necessarily judge Sesko on his goals. If Sesko gets 10 goals and Bruno gets 7 penalties this season, that's potential another 7 goals that most strikers would have got in the Premier League. And you'll be going, what a striker he is. He scored 17 goals in the Premier League. We don't really talk about a striker that gets 10. But if he hasn't taken any penalties, that's something just to remember when you're judging any of these transfers on their goal. And Burmo took penalties at Brentford. Cunha took penalties at Wolves. Their goals per game are going to drop because we all know if Bruno's on the pitch, Bruno's taking the penalty. I was quite surprised. He tossed of the coin whether he was going to give up that penalty on Sunday. He stepped up. He slotted it away. I believe he was lucky to have scored it. It wasn't a great penalty, and I think a lot of other keepers save it. If he was probably half a foot, 6 inches taller, he gets his hands down to it and saves that. So, yeah. Right. Goalkeeper. But before I do that, make sure everyone has liked the video, subscribed, Click that little bell, get the notifications going. Right now, for the solo shows that I'm going to pop out, I'm still getting to touch with the background thing. Like I said, not done that before. And there's a few technical issues, like I might not schedule the show like this one. So you're going to need that notification on to say when I've gone live. Right, let's get on to the goalkeeper. Or as I like to say right now, we finally have someone who can catch a ball. You know, they can use two hands. This is a strange deal and developed over the course of 12 hours, weirdly. I woke up this morning, I saw Lemen's name, I see Martinez's name. I think I got to about 11 o'clock and apparently we're signing both goalkeepers. And I don't know if we pulled a masterstroke, if the talks about a collapse deal with Aston Villa regarding Sancho is the only reason we've got Lamens. I don't know which way it's gone. I think we should have bought both. It would have costed about 50 million, but I'm pretty sure bath time, Danny, anyone else in the chat, let me know. But if we had bought two goalkeepers of their stature, and maybe Bindia shoots straight off to Fenerbahce or Galatasaray, because they both need goalkeepers apparently. You know, and then we've got we have four goalkeepers. Heaton might just retire. I know he's doing his coaching badges currently. And Onana comes third choice, you know, or maybe even fourth choice, and we keep Heaton at third choice. How would we have felt about that? Because Lamens, 23, unbelievable stats, but they have come from the Belgium league, and I will always say that. He might have some of the best stats in the league, but, you know, how can I put it? If you've got a Sunday league striker shooting against Peter Schmeichel, or we're backing Peter Schmeichel to save the shots, right? So it is down to the caliber of the players shooting against him. And that's pretty much all I can say on it. Lamens is a big gamble, and I really hope it works. From what we've seen, tall, young, agile. When he parries the ball, he knows to put it wide, not back into the danger area. He loves to come for crosses. His balls in the air claiming stats were unbelievable. Now, whether they're going to be the same in the Premier League, because the ball moving faster, more whip on it, everything like that, I don't know. But I'm so happy to give anyone a shot. I would have taken Martinez. I don't know what people would have thought. Again, let us know in the comments after the show whether you would have taken Martinez. But I feel a little bit hard done by for Vitek. To sign a 23-year-old keeper while we currently have Vitek on loan in League 1, League 2. I know it's at Bristol City, but I can't remember what league they're in. I'm going to say League 1. I think he's had 2 out of 4 weeks as the team of the week goalkeeper. He's made some unbelievable saves, similar in height, similar in body shape. Have we spent money we didn't necessarily need to spend? So that'll be interesting to see. But there is, out of 10, I'd rate our transfer window as 6. The players we got out on, we didn't necessarily sell them all, so that wasn't great. I think we all can be honest, we knew we weren't going to sell them all. You know, you've got to get them in, and there's no point selling a player we can't get a replacement. But then it's hard to sell someone when they know you want to get rid of them. But the players we brought in, the 2 number 10s, maybe we only needed 1 number 10. People see that differently. But they are both Premier League proven great players. Sesko, a lot of potential. We've got now obviously a goalkeeper coming in, 23. God, baptism of fire. Literally comes in, and if he starts, and let me know if you think he's going to start. I do. I think our keepers have been that poor. With what have we got to lose by starting him? But 23 comes in. I believe he'll be wearing the number 1 shirt as well because it's available. He'll have Man City, Chelsea, a shit game, Liverpool in his first 4 games. So that is one hell of a baptism of fire. Against probably the best striker in the world in Haaland. Chelsea, we're going to have that's going to be one hell of a fight now going with Chelsea. João Pedro's on fire. Does Garnacho play? What kind of atmosphere is that going to be? Could be a bit of a cauldron. There's many a fight almost broken out against Chelsea. And then obviously a trip, I believe we're away at Anfield. That's going to be one hell of an experience. The cop shouting abuse at him. So we'll see. He's in the Championship, is he? Okay. But yeah, Bristol City, that's what I mean. So it's only 1 league down, and I'm sorry, but VTech is playing, I would say, Championship is a higher league from Royal Antwerp in the Belgian league. That's my opinion. I think we're like the 6th best, Championship's like the 6th best league in Europe. So that's how I see it. So yeah, let's start thinking about trying to wrap this up now. Like I say, I see it as a 6 out of 10, 5 out of 10, 5.5. Yeah, Danny, I sort of agree. I can see where you're coming from. We're all on the same sort of wavelength. We got half of what we wanted. And, bath time, you say 5. But if we're honest with ourselves, we were looking at, we need 10 outfield players. We pretty much wanted to change everyone but Bruno at the end of last season. For me, I would have changed 11 outfield players, and I think I've put that out there. Not because of I add Bruno in because I just don't believe he does as he's told. Give me the Bruno we signed, no captain's armband, doing everything he done then. I think, Jesus Christ, he would fit in Amorim's system superbly. But right now, it's not working for me. But there is one, well, we call it, let's talk about, they normally say the saying is, let's talk about the elephant in the room. But really, we need to talk about the elephant-sized hole in our midfield. If for me, I didn't care about 10s going into the transfer window. I wanted a world-class goalkeeper. I wanted a world-class holding midfielder. And I wanted a decent grown-up, that sounds harsh, putting it out, they're all men, but a more experienced striker. We didn't get the experience in the striker, but we got a new one. We've not got the experience in the goalkeeper, but we got a new one. And now we're trying to fit, every size peg in a round hole into our midfield. Ugarte, for me, he's just not cutting it. He seems like game after game, he gets worse and worse and worse, and then has a good game and then just goes to his head and falls apart. Mainu, some people are trying to tell me he could learn to play a 6, but that means he's not ready now. Some people are telling me that Bruno is a floating 8, which Amorim had in his system. Well, that's fine, but we're not playing Amorim's system yet. He pretty much said in his press conference he's got a lot more to learn in that area. And then you say Mainu and him are fighting for the same place. So that means that there's one player and 2 players for holding, 2 players for attacking. And maybe you can chuck Mason Mount playing in midfield as well. What I don't get is we've not gone into the loan market. Now, transfer stuff changes year on year, and I'll be honest now, I've not kept up to any small changes. Sometimes, I know the window's shut at 7, but maybe there's a loan deal that we could have done. Apparently, we were looking at Gallagher from Atletico, the ex-Chelsea player. There'd be some irony there if we bring an ex-Chelsea player in after selling Garnacho to them. But I don't think Gallagher fills that spot. He's more in the Bruno role. We all want Belieber. It hasn't happened. It's not going to happen in January. There's no way, unless Brighton are having a bad season, that they're going to look to sell Belieber. And I don't know if he is the player we want. Last season, superb. This season, have we upset him? You know, if we put the voodoo on him by he hasn't been amazing. He's done okay against City, but the other games he's been proper hit and miss. Obviously, Brighton is a team very close to me. I have to listen to people talking about how amazing they are today because they beat City like they do most years. But yeah, elephant size. Well, I called it a black hole in midfield. Is that going to come back to bite us? Let me know, guys, in the chat. So yeah, so when this is finished, if you can come back in the comments, let me know what you think about the transfers. Let me know what you think about not putting anything in. I would have liked some free transfers. I'm not talking about your Rabios and people like that last year, where we're just getting them for their name, but someone to have come in on that midfield to bolster it. Most of us are expecting an injury or two. Casemiro's likely to get an injury. Bruno won't. But then that straight away, that's 4 down to 3. And we've got Main, who apparently can't play alongside Bruno, even though he did against Grimsby. So we surely needed someone to, because of injuries to like Kone and that, we needed someone to bolster our midfield and the loan option. Maybe we can still entertain it. I'm not 100% sure. They might be trying to work something now. My brother loves him. Look, Gallagher was a good player. I really liked him at Crystal Palace, and I thought he should have signed for Palace. And Chelsea screwed that entire deal up. But by him not signing meant they brought through Walton earlier. I don't think Walton's ready for Man United before anyone comes back and goes, yeah, we should sign Walton. I don't think that's the player for us. I've said for 2, almost 3 seasons now, Ederson is the man. I think a midfield of Ederson and Belieber would be unbelievable. I think Hulman from Sporting is a mini Rodri. His heat map and things like that are amazing. So there are players out there. But yeah, I'm going to wrap the show up there, guys. I did come on here only to do half an hour, but a bit of interaction with the chat, and it takes longer to go through the pros and cons of some of these players. If there's any of our signings I missed, I don't believe there is. I'm just having a look. I know we put some youngsters out. I love the fact Amas has gone on loan to Sheffield Wednesday. That's great news for him. I said he needed a loan, and Sheffield Wednesday is a great team. It's hard to see them. They're my granddad's team. It's hard to see him with what's going on there, but I really hope Amas destroys them down that left, and potentially he can come back in. I see him as Luke Shaw 2.0. And like I say, VTech, I think, has become a permanent deal maybe, or is about to become a permanent deal now that we signed another goalkeeper. So we will call that a night. Take care, people. And yes, I'll see you on the next one. And maybe I'll even schedule it to go live. All right, take care.